You wake up in a hotel room with sunlight streaming through the curtains. For a moment, you're disoriented. Then you remember you got married yesterday. The wedding was perfect. 200 guests, an outdoor ceremony. Your wife looked incredible walking down the aisle. You danced until midnight, drank champagne, felt happier than you'd ever felt in your life. You turn over expecting to see your new wife next to you. The bed is empty. You check your phone. It's 9 in the morning. There's a note on the nightstand. Gone to get coffee, be right back. With a heart drawn at the bottom, you smile, stretch, feel the weight of the wedding ring on your finger. Then, you notice an envelope on the desk across the room. It's manila, official looking. Your name is handwritten on the front. You get up, walk over, open it. Inside are divorce papers. Filed this morning at 8 a.m. petitioner. Your wife of less than 24 hours grounds irreconcilable differences. There's a post-it note attached. I'm sorry, it says, "I'll explain everything. Please sign these." You read the documents 3 times trying to make sense of them. You got married at 4 p.m. yesterday. The reception ended around midnight. You fell asleep around 2 a.m. And at 8 a.m. this morning, 6 hours later, your wife filed for divorce. Your hands are shaking. This has to be a joke, some kind of prank. Terrible timing, but maybe she thought it would be funny. You call her phone. It goes straight to voicemail. You call again. Same thing. You text. "What is this? Is this real?" The message shows delivered, but no response. You get dressed, go downstairs to the hotel lobby. You're supposed to check out today and head to the airport for your honeymoon. 2 weeks in Italy, flights paid for, hotels booked. You ask the front desk if they've seen your wife. The clerk looks uncomfortable, says she checked out an hour ago alone. You stand there in the lobby of the hotel where you spent your wedding night, holding divorce papers, trying to understand how your marriage ended before your honeymoon started. You call her again. This time she answers. Her voice is calm. Too calm. "We need to talk," she says, but not on the phone. "I'll meet you at the coffee shop across the street in 20 minutes. Those 20 minutes feel like hours. You pace the hotel room. You look at the wedding photos on your phone from yesterday. Your wife smiling, holding your hand, saying vows, kissing you while everyone cheered. Less than 24 hours ago, this woman promised to love you forever. Now she's serving you divorce papers. You go to the coffee shop. She's already there. Sitting in the back corner, she looks tired, avoiding eye contact. You sit down and the first thing you say is, "What the hell is happening?" She takes a deep breath and starts talking. She's sorry she made a mistake. She thought she was ready for marriage, but she's not. She realized it during the reception. She can't do this. She can't be married. She needs out. You ask if this is about someone else. If she cheated, if something happened, she says no, nothing like that. She just realized she made a terrible mistake and she can't go through with it. You ask why she didn't say something yesterday, before the wedding, before you signed a legal contract, before 200 people watched you make vows. She says she didn't know how. She was scared. She thought maybe the feeling would pass. It didn't pass, so she filed for divorce. 6 hours after becoming your wife, she decided to become your ex. You ask about the honeymoon, the plane tickets, the hotels. She says you should go without her, or cancel. She pay her half of the cancellation fees. She's very calm, very rational. She's discussing a business transaction. You're not calm. You're trying not to scream in this coffee shop. You spent $50,000 on this wedding. Your parents spent another $30,000. There were deposits, vendors, a dress that cost $8,000 that she wear exactly once. You took time off work. Your friends flew in from across the country. And this woman is telling you it was all a mistake. She slides the divorce papers across the table. She needs you to sign. She wants to file an annulment, actually. Since the marriage was so short, but the laws in your state require consummation or a waiting period, so divorce is faster. She's already talked to a lawyer. She filed this morning. You ask when she talked to a lawyer. She admits she called yesterday during the reception. She stepped away, made some calls, found an attorney who could file emergency papers this morning. So while you were dancing, while you were celebrating, while you were believing this was the beginning of your life together, she was planning the end. You don't sign the papers. You tell her you need time to process this, to talk to your own lawyer, to understand what's happening. She says that's fine, but she'd appreciate it if you could move quickly. She wants this over with. You leave the coffee shop. You're supposed to be on a plane to Rome in 4 hours. Instead, you're calling a divorce attorney. The attorney asks how long you've been married. You say 20 hours, there's a pause. The attorney asks you to repeat that. You explain married yesterday afternoon. Wife filed for divorce this morning. The attorney says in 30 years of practice they've never seen anything like this. The attorney asks if there was fraud, if your wife married you under false pretenses. You don't know. You thought you knew this woman. You dated for 3 years, were engaged for 18 months, lived together for 2 years. You thought you were ready, you thought she was sure. The attorney explains your options. You can contest the divorce. Drag it out, but what's the point? You can't force someone to stay married. You can try to recoup some of the wedding costs, but that's difficult. You can file for an annulment on the grounds of fraud or mental incapacity. But you'd have to prove that. Mostly, the attorney says, you're going to have to sign the papers and move on. This marriage is over. It lasted less than a day, but it's over. You go back to the hotel room. You're supposed to check out. You ask for another night. You can't face going home yet. You can't face explaining this to your family, your friends, everyone who was just at your wedding. You start getting texts, friends asking how married life feels, asking about the honeymoon, sending congratulations. You don't respond. You don't know what to say. Your mom calls, she's excited, asking about Italy, asking if you're at the airport. You tell her you're not going to Italy. She asks why. If something's wrong with the flights, you tell her you're getting divorced. There's silence, then she asks if you're joking. You say no, you're completely serious. Wife filed this morning, marriage is over. She doesn't understand. She was at the wedding yesterday. She saw you both. You seemed happy. What happened? You say you don't know. That's the truth. You genuinely don't know. 1 minute you were married. The next minute you were being served divorce papers. Your mom starts crying. She's asking what she's supposed to tell people. Everyone is asking about the wedding, posting photos, congratulating her. And now she has to explain that it's over. You tell her you don't care what she tells people. You have bigger problems. You hang up. You sit on the hotel bed. You look at your wedding ring. You pull it off. You've been wearing it for less than 24 hours. The financial reality starts hitting you. The wedding cost $80,000 total. You paid $50,000. Your parents paid $30,000. None of that is refundable. The vendors were paid. The venue was used. The food was eaten. The photos were taken. She spent $8,000 on a wedding dress she never wear again. You spent $3,000 on your outfit. You bought wedding rings. Yours was $2,000. Hers was $2,500. The honeymoon was another $15,000. Flights, hotels, tours, reservations, most of it is non-refundable. You're losing almost all of it. You did the math. This marriage cost you approximately $65,000. It lasted 20 hours. That's $3,250 per hour of marriage. And now you have to pay for a divorce. The attorney quoted you $3,000 for an uncontested divorce. More if your wife fights over anything. You're paying to end something that barely started. You're also paying emotionally. Everyone knows the wedding was public. Social media is full of photos. Your friends posted. Your family posted. Strangers who were at the wedding posted. The happy couple so in love. Best day ever. And now you have to tell all of them it's over. You have to watch people delete their congratulations posts. You have to field questions, explain what happened. Deal with the pity and the gossip. Some people will think it's your fault. They'll assume you did something, said something, revealed something that made your wife run. Some will think she's crazy, that she had a mental breakdown. Some will think this was planned, that she married you for some scam reason. The truth is simpler and worse. She just changed her mind. She decided she didn't want to be married. And because she decided that 6 hours after the wedding instead of 6 hours before, you're legally bound to a process that will take months and cost thousands. You check social media, you see the photos from yesterday, you and your wife cutting the cake, having your first dance, kissing while everyone cheers. The comments are all congratulations, heart emojis, wishes for a lifetime of happiness. You want to delete everything, but you can't. The photos are everywhere, tagged by dozens of people, shared and reposted. Yesterday's joy is now today's evidence of the worst decision you ever made. You finally text her, you ask the question that's been eating at you. Did you ever want to marry me? Or was this whole thing a mistake from the beginning? She responds an hour later. I wanted to marry you. I thought I was ready, I was wrong. I'm sorry, that's it. No explanation, no real apology. Just I was wrong. You signed the divorce papers. You meet her at her lawyer's office. It's awkward and horrible. You sit across from each other at a conference table. The lawyer explains the terms. No assets to divide since you've been married less than 24 hours. No alimony. No child custody, obviously. Just a simple dissolution. She signs. The lawyer files it with the court. The waiting period in your state is 60 days, so in 2 months, your 20-hour marriage will be legally over. You asked her one more time, why didn't you just call it off yesterday? Why did you go through with the wedding if you knew? She says she didn't know, not for sure. She hoped the doubts would go away. She wanted to want this, but standing at the altar, saying the vows, it all felt wrong, and she couldn't admit that in front of 200 people. So she pretended, she smiled and danced and acted happy. And then she went back to the hotel room and realized she couldn't pretend for the rest of her life. You ask if she thought about you at all, about what this would do to you. She says of course she did, that's why she's sorry. But she couldn't stay in a marriage she didn't want just to avoid hurting you. That would hurt you more in the long run. Maybe she's right. Maybe this is better than years of unhappiness followed by an eventual divorce. But it doesn't feel better, it feels like being hit by a truck. You leave the lawyer's office, you're technically still married. You'll be married for another 60 days while the divorce processes. But it's over. Everyone knows it's over. You cancel the honeymoon, you lose $12,000 in non-refundable deposits. The airline won't refund the tickets, the hotels won't refund the rooms. The tour company won't refund the reservations. You call your bank? You had opened a joint account for wedding gifts. There's about $15,000 in it from cash gifts. Checks, Venmo transfers. You ask the bank about splitting it. They say both account holders have to agree. You text her about the money, she says split it 50-50. You say that doesn't seem fair since you're eating most of the wedding costs. She says the gifts were for both of you, you argue. She stops responding. Eventually you withdraw $7,500. Your half, you close the joint account. It's one of many things you'll have to untangle. Your credit cards are linked, your phone plan is combined. You were planning to file taxes jointly. You were talking about buying a house together next year. All of that is gone. 20 hours of marriage erased months of planning and years of building a life together. You move out of the apartment you shared. Technically, you could stay. Your name is on the lease, but you can't be there. Every room reminds you of wedding planning, of choosing flowers and seating charts, of believing in a future that doesn't exist. You move in with a friend temporarily. You sleep on their couch, you're 29 years old. Recently divorced, financially devastated, emotionally destroyed. Your friend asks what happened. You say you don't know. That's the answer you give everyone. I don't know because you genuinely don't. 3 years of dating. 18 months engaged, everything seemed fine. No major fights, no red flags, no warning signs. And then 20 hours of marriage and it's over. People ask if you saw it coming, you say no. People ask if there was someone else. You say no. People ask what you did wrong. You say nothing as far as you know. The truth is you may never know. Your wife decided she made a mistake. She won't elaborate. She won't explain. She just wants out. And you're left picking up the pieces of a marriage that never really began. The divorce is finalized 63 days after the wedding. You get the paperwork in the mail. Decree of marriage dissolved. You're legally single again. You were married for 20 hours, divorced for 63 days. The divorce lasted longer than the marriage. You frame the divorce decree, you hang it in your apartment. When people ask why, you say it's a reminder. A reminder that you can survive anything. A reminder that other people's choices aren't your fault. A reminder that sometimes things fall apart and there's nothing you could have done differently. Your ex moves on quickly. You see on social media that she's dating someone new. 3 months after your divorce is finalized, she's in a relationship. 6 months later, she's engaged again. You wonder if she actually married this person or if she panic and file for divorce the next day. You wonder if you were the problem or if she has a pattern. You wonder if she ever thinks about you, about the wedding, about the 20 hours you were married. Probably not. She moved on. She's building a new life. And you're still processing the old one. It takes you 2 years to date again. 2 years to trust someone enough to even consider a relationship. When you do start dating, you're careful, maybe too careful on a third date. Someone asks if you've ever been married, you say yes, briefly. They ask how long, you say 20 hours. They think you're joking. You show them the divorce decree, the one you still have framed. They ask what happened. You give the same answer you've given 100 times. I don't know, she changed her mind. Some people find that romantic, like you're a tragic figure from a novel. Some people find it alarming, like you're damaged goods. Some people just don't know what to say. You've learned to spot the ones who get it. The ones who understand that sometimes things happen that don't make sense. That sometimes people hurt you and there's no satisfying explanation. That sometimes you do everything right and it still falls apart. Those are the people worth keeping around. You got married yesterday, you got divorced today. Well, technically you got divorced 63 days later, but it felt like today, it felt immediate. Like the marriage never really existed and maybe it didn't. Maybe 20 hours isn't long enough to count. Maybe it was just a very expensive, very public mistake, but it happened. You have the photos, the receipts, the legal documents. You have the memory of being the happiest you'd ever been, followed immediately by being the most confused you'd ever been. You have the experience of watching someone promise forever and change her mind before breakfast. And you have the knowledge that you survived it, that you can survive anything, that you're stronger than you thought. You got married yesterday. You got divorced today. And somehow, eventually, you were okay. Welcome to the club nobody wants to join. The 24-hour marriage survivors, population smaller than you'd think. But not as small as it should be. You're not alone. You're just part of a story that sounds too bizarre to be real, but it is real. It happened to you. And now you get to decide what it means. Does it mean you're unlucky? Does it mean you're resilient? Does it mean marriage is a scam? Does it mean you dodged a bullet? Maybe all of those, maybe none of them. What it definitely means is that you learned something valuable. You learned that the person standing across from you at an altar can still be a stranger. You learned that promises don't always mean what you think they mean. You learned that you can't control other people's choices. And you learned that you'll survive, even when it feels impossible. Even when you're holding divorce papers in a hotel room where you spent your wedding night. Even when your marriage lasted less time than the reception. You survived, and that's worth something. Maybe not $50,000, but something.